welcome to the Dr. Donut podcast. I have Johnna Kolar here with me from Kansas. Johnna is a retired substitute teacher. She is an author, and the most exciting part is she's a donut enthusiast, just like myself. Me and Johnna, we met kind of uniquely on Etsy, through Etsy. Really, I was looking for her book, which we'll talk about more. And we just started talking and talking about how much we have in common with our excitement over donuts. And we've stayed in touch over the years, and I really wanted Jonna to be my first guest. So we're going to dive into more about what Jonna has done in her career and what she's done with donuts, and also her book and looking at that. And then we also are going to do a donut game as well. So thank you, Jonna, for being here. It's such an exciting time to finally meet you, see your face. And like I said, we've been talking for several years now. And it's a wonder. So, welcome.
Well, thank you. Yeah, I was looking back at my email when you first bought the book and it was 2024. So I thought, wow, it's
Oh
been
my
2
God.
years. Yeah,
Yeah.
it's like that was
In
a
a
long
couple
time.
years.
Yes.
Yeah. So, you were a substitute teacher for 22 years. You
Yes.
are retired now. So, congratulations on that.
Thank you.
And then, when did you write your first book?
I wrote it in 2021. I had tried 389 flavors of donuts at a donut shop here in town. And I told the owner when I first ever went there, I'd never been in a donut shop that had as many flavors as this donut shop did. So I ordered my first 6 pack of donuts and I just said, can I borrow a pen? Because I will never know what these flavors are because I won't eat 6 in this day. So I wrote the flavors on top of my box. And I kept looking, each time I think about a donut, I thought, well, I got to go down there and get another 6 pack. And so anyway, so after I, kept trying these donuts, I told him if I tried 365 flavors, I was going to end up writing a book called A Donut a Day, and never dreamed that he would have that many flavors.
Yeah, that's a crazy amount of flavors. And the donut shop that we're talking about is unfortunately closed. They had to close down, but it was called the Donut Hole, and it was in Wichita, Kansas. There, so
Right.
they had, I mean, 389 flavors. That's just
It's
unheard
insane.
of.
I know.
It really is.
I
Yeah.
felt like when I told the owner that I was gonna write a book if I hit 365 flavors, I even asked him, I said, "Are you changing the name of these flavors?" Because I said, "Are you really making this many?" And he was. And as a matter of
Oh,
fact, I kept all my flavors in this little notebook. This is the little notebook where it all started.
what
And
a cute little book.
it started with a rocky road and it went all the way down. I just wrote every flavor that I tried over and over. And what I ended up having to do, which is crazy, is I would have the same flavor and not realize that I'd already tried it. So finally, I sat down at my computer and I must have OCD because I alphabetized them. So I typed them in ABC order so I would remember that I did not have that flavor.
Yeah. Oh my gosh. Well, we all have a little OCD in us. It's
We
okay.
do. Well, and actually, I called down on my birthday one year, and because at the time the donut hole was open 365 days out of the year, 24 hours a day, and they had entertainment on the weekends. They had poetry readings. They had bands play. So I mean, it was a happening place. And I'd called down on my birthday one weekend or one day, and I said, "Did they have any new flavors that I could try?" And they said, "No, we really just kind of have our same ones that we use on a regular basis." And they said, "What's your favorite?" And I said, "Well, I love anything banana. I love strawberry banana. I love peanut butter banana." And they said, "You know what? We'll have something for you." So when my husband and I we went to have birthday dinner, and then we went by to get donuts, and they actually had, I don't know if you can see this or not. Can you see this little gold donut right here?
Yes,
Okay,
right. It
so
has gold flakes on it.
Yes, they named that after me. It said banana double dipped in peanut butter with gold glitter. This will now be called the Johnna just for you. And that was my flavor 209.
That's amazing. So you're such a donut enthusiast that this donut shop bakes your own donut and names it after you. And tell us again what it was, banana and peanut butter, right?
Yes, yes, it was a buttermilk donut because the donut hole only did cake donuts because since they were open 24 hours a day, cake donuts didn't dry out like the raised donuts would.
Right.
And so they did this and it was a buttermilk donut and they dipped it 2 times in banana icing and then 1 time in the peanut butter icing, and then they sprinkled it with edible gold glitter. So it when I would order a 6-pack of those, like if I had out of town guests, I would always make sure that they could try the Johnna donut, and
Yeah.
that box was so heavy because you think about 3 times the icing on 1 donut,
Oh
it makes
yeah.
for a little yeah, it was
It's
crazy.
heavy and sweet, I'm
Yes, and
sure.
delicious. It was the best
Oh, I
donut.
know. Delicious.
Yeah.
That's fabulous. So the book that we're talking about here is A Donut a Day, and it's a spiral bound book that every day has a phrase on it. Yes.
Right. Yes, every day so what I did was originally when I got the idea of making a book if I hit 365 flavors, when I hit 365 flavors, I had writer's block. I said, "Oh my gosh, I really did hit 365 flavors. How do I write a book?" And so I was gonna write it based on the flavors. And so the first flavor that I tried was a rocky road. And so I thought, well, that's an easy story to write about because everybody doesn't have everything go exactly as planned. And sometimes there might be a bump in the road that, oh, I didn't expect that. But then the second flavor that I tried was maple bacon. And I thought, there is no way that I can write a story called Maple Bacon. How do you do that? So I did stop. But then substitute teaching for 22 years. Every classroom that I taught, they had class rules. And so they were called a social contract. And so they were posted in every classroom and it would say like we'll respect each other, we'll listen, we'll have the golden rule, and everything. And so one day I was teaching a class that had 5 or 6 of those on the board because I was at middle school, and I looked at those, I thought, that's how I can write my book. I can use the word donut or use the word don't and replace it with donut and then add something to be positive. So like instead of, obviously since respect was one of their rules, then it's like, okay, well, don't be disrespectful. And, don't judge others, don't, hurt others, don't, just on and it just spiraled from that moment. I mean, the minute I started writing, I came up with like 30 immediately. And then I just got Webster's dictionary and went from A to Z to find words like adjectives that would be something to promote kindness or, and even like some of them might have been just like, don't forget to send a letter and, just a reminder to do something nice.
It is such a impactful, even though it's not a book that you read, but a book that you use every single day, that you can use every single year, because when you turn the page to the next day, it's a good reminder of uh, how we should be, you know.
Right.
And I've found, because I've used it for over 2 years now, um, is that it each saying each day um, does have meaning to it, almost to your life that day. So it's interesting how you're going through something and you turn the page to the next day and you're like, oh, this is such a good reminder. I needed to hear that. And you
Yes.
can keep using it every single year. And today being National Donut Day, which is exciting in itself, is June 5th. And it's a reminder today is, do not lose your temper. So it's a good
So
reminder to everyone.
yes. So if you went to the donut shop and they didn't have your flavor, don't lose your temper. It's okay. There's more flavors for you to get.
People can get very upset when their donut is not available.
That's right.
Yeah.
Well, fun story. I have a friend that lives in Chicago, and when the book first came out, it came out in 2021 in the fall. I had a friend, and her husband had gone into the hospital, And then he had gone in like in January. And so she had asked him, she said, "Is there anything you need me to bring from home?" And he said, "No." And he said, "Well, actually," she goes, he goes, "Why don't you print off each day?" Because he ended up being there in the hospital for 4 days. "Print off the donut a day quote for that day and bring it up to the hospital. And well, you can put it on my wall." And she said that, so because she messaged me to let me know that, I thought, "Oh, this is crazy." And I thought it was so neat. And she said, "Johnna," she goes, "The doctors, the nurses, the blood people, everybody that came in, they say, 'What is the quote for today?'" And I thought that was really neat. And she sent me a picture of him on the hospital, wall. And I thought, wow, this grown man that would have been, in his 50s or whatever,
Yeah.
wanting her to print off the donut a day because he goes, "You read me the quote every morning." And I thought, that was
Oh,
pretty impactful.
it is impactful. Yeah, and obviously you helped the nurses and the doctors get through the day. I think it's such a fun play on words because you don't expect when you say donut to mean don't, but it's such a unique play on words, and again, it's such a daily inspiration to continue to use it year after year. And then I wanted to also say that you have note cards as well.
Yes, I've got some right here.
Yes. So same thing. You can send them to people, but this one says, "Do not worry, be happy." You can send to someone maybe in a difficult situation. Do not ever change. And they're all very unique. So, Jonna, I know your book is on Etsy. Are your note cards on Etsy, or was that
They
something they contact you?
they would just contact me on that. Yeah, they're not on
Okay.
Etsy. But I was gonna
Okay.
say, and the nice thing about the cards, like here's a picture of one, is that they're 4 by 6, and so if people want, like, say that they mail somebody one, and then somebody says, "Oh, I really like that," they could put it in a little frame, and then it would be, it not only becomes a
Good.
note card,
Yeah.
it also becomes a little thing, a little reminder on your desk.
That's a good idea, actually, is to frame it because they are so very beautifully done. And I will link where everyone can find A Donut a Day, the book, and then Jonna has a Facebook page, which is A Donut a Day, and then an Instagram page, which is A Donut a Day book, and then there's an underscore for each word. So
Yes.
I'll link that as well. And then you can contact her through Facebook or Instagram to get a hold of the cards or talk more about the book as well.
What I was gonna say, on the book, it has, instead of doing 365 days, I did 366 because there is a leap year,
Here for
and
that
my
leap year.
and my quote for leap year is "Don't cause conflict," because I thought, "Oh my gosh, if somebody had a leap year birthday, they would have to say, 'Do I use February 28th or March 1st?'" I thought, "Okay, I don't
Yeah.
wanna create any conflict, so that's gonna be the quote for February
Oh,
29th."
that's wonderful. Yes. So we get an extra page every 4 years to use. Yeah, that's
Yes.
wonderful. So, Jonah, tell us a little about what you're doing in the schools. We know that you're a retired substitute teacher, and thank you for everything you did for your students in that time. I know that you were very impactful in their growth, and you're back in the schools. What are you doing with that?
Well, so what I am doing is I'm a teaching artist for Arts Partners Wichita, and it's an organization that goes out to any school around the surrounding Wichita areas, as well as like within like, an hour and a half. And they have different artists with different talents. They have poetry people, they have, me, they have music. And so when I got asked to be a teaching artist for this organization, I do a donut a day program. And so what I do is I go to the schools and I meet with the kids and I basically tell them I get 40 minutes. It's a 40-minute timed event. So I tell them about the book and about how I came up with the idea and how I wrote it, and then I tell them some of my favorite quotes. And so, like, for example, I'll say, "Why did I put 'Donut Judge Others' in my book?" and then the hands will come up and it'll be like, because it's not nice to do that. And I said, that's right. You should judge people on their hearts. Don't judge them by what they look like or what they're wearing. We'll say, don't be disrespectful. We'll talk about that. So after I write some that I've used in my book, then I say, okay, now I'm going to have you guys share a quote with me. But I say, remember, you can't say don't. You have to say donut. And so then they'll do that. And I've had like forget to be a good team player, donut spread rumors, donut gossip. And so I write those up on the board. And then what I do is after I do that, then I pass out cardstock for everybody. And I explain that when I designed my book, I got to design each month by a theme. So, like my January month is winter themed colors of the donuts. February is Valentine's Day. March is St. Patrick's Day. April is Easter, and so on. And so then I tell them they get to design their donuts however they want. They can, if they want to do a long john, they can do a long john. If they want to do whatever, and then but to put a quote under it, I said they can either use a quote that we've used already, or they can put a quote that they came up with while they're designing their donut. And then I give them the opportunity to come share. And that's part of the neat thing, because especially these kids don't know me like the kids that I substitute taught for 22 years. They all knew me. So when I did my author event and shared the story, they already knew that I love donuts. I mean, they knew that I was the substitute that came with the donut backpack, the donut lunchbox, the donut lanyard, the donut everything. And so anyway, so these kids then when they want to get up and they share, then they'll say, whatever. And I had a little first grade boy here not too long ago that got up and he wanted to share his, and his said, "Donut be sad." And so his teacher happened to be working the after school program that day. And he went over to show her the picture before he went and sat down. And she came over to me and she said, every day when he gets to school, he's crying, and like he's already missing mom and dad. And so when it was over, he went up and he told her, he goes, "I'm going to put this on my desk so I remember each day not to be sad." And I thought, wow, it's just this little donut. It's just this whole little happy food that is making an impact on these kids and adults alike. You know,
Absolutely. Yeah.
yeah, my husband and I, we were in Colorado a few years back, and I was going to do a signing at a bookstore there in Frisco. And we had gone, it was rainy, and my husband likes to bicycle. So it was rainy. And so we decided to go up and go to a little town that we had never been. So while we were there, I happened to see a lady go, "This is just the neatest little community." It was Beaver Creek. And so I was taking some pictures of the little courtyard. And then she said, "Yeah, we've been coming here for 20 years." And I said, "Oh, wow." I go, "It's just so nice." And we got to talking, and she said that her brother had passed away 20 years earlier. And she said that the parents decided in his memory, since he loved Colorado, they would get a timeshare. So they always rented it 2 weeks a year at this timeshare. And so as we got to talking, she said, "Well, where do you stay?" And I said, "Well, we're always over in Dillon or Frisco or Silverthorne, Colorado." And she goes, "Well, I've never been there." I said, "Well, you should come." I go, "I'm doing a book signing in Frisco at the bookstore on Saturday." So she goes, "You wrote a book?" And I said, "Yeah." So anyway, so I got to telling her about it, and she said, "I'd like one." So I had my husband go back to the car because we had them in the car. And then by the time I got finished, she bought 6 books. And she said that the first thing that she did when she got the book was she looked at her brother's birthday. Because I told her, I said, often if I'm doing an event or whatever, I said, I'll tell people, look up one of your family members' birthdays because it might ring a bell, might be that.
Right. Right.
Yes, and so when she said she wanted to look up her brother's birthday, I thought, "Oh, please be a good quote. Please be something. Don't be donut wreak havoc. Be something special." And when she said his birthday was in December, I knew that it was going to be something holiday related because in the month of December I kind of did that. So when she turned, it said, "Donut, it's better to give than to receive." And she started to cry. She got all teared up, and she goes, "My brother was probably one of the most generous people that I've ever known." And I thought, she didn't know me. I didn't know her. What was
Yeah.
the likelihood that that just
Yeah.
connected? And so it's really unique how you just never know how
You
this.
never know.
Yeah,
Yeah. And like I've said, I've experienced that myself is opening it and seeing a message that, I needed to hear that day. So
yeah,
um and I'm so happy that the kids that you're going to see that they're able to make these quotes and like that boy keep it on his desk as a daily reminder that um he can get through the day,
That's right.
and a healthy reminder.
Yeah, the only thing I tell them, the only reminder that I give them after I'm done with my program is I say, "Okay, boys and girls, tonight when you're, having dinner or you're doing something and your parents or, somebody asks you like, "Hey, do you want like more green beans or whatever?" I go, "Trust me," I said, "You may say, 'No, I do not want them.'" I said, You're gonna have to get that donut now," and I remember now it's don't.
It's gonna be in their daily speech.
That's
Oh,
right. That's right.
right. This book and your cards, they've made such an impact. I don't know if you intended for it to have such an impact on the community, but I hope more people get it because again, um, you flip it over and you can get a little easel and it's just there for the day, and you flip it to the next, and it's such a good reminder of how we can share kindness and
Well, yeah. And a fun little way, like when I do these events, like when it's like in the fall, like if I do like a little, I have some friends that do arts and crafts. And so like I'll always get a table with them and sell my book. So one thing that's kind of neat is if you take the book and you put them in like those little treat bags that you can buy at Dollar Tree or wherever, put the little book in there, get a little packet of donut gems, like the little 3-pack at Sam's, or get the 6-pack of the gems, and then you can even put like, if you want to put a $5 Starbucks gift card or something, or coffee gift card in there,
oh,
great little gift for just
great
somebody that
gift.
you don't know, like, I don't know what to get this person. It's a great, and it can
Yeah,
be reused over and over and over.
exactly. What a great idea. That really is.
Mhm.
So let's see. I know we talked before about donut tours. Neither of us have actually done like a donut tour, and we kind of, they're long, and sometimes the donut shops close, and but you have gone and traveled and you enjoy going to different donut shops. Is there any that particularly stand out to you?
Well, there's 2 that do, yeah, so a few years back, I told my husband, I go, "Chris, I just got this wild idea," and he said, "What?" I said, "Wherever we travel, we have to go to a donut shop," and I said, and we always eat breakfast at our hotel, but we always find a donut shop, and then I always get, like, 2 donuts so we can have them later that afternoon or in the evening,
Mhm.
and, so we did Route 66 2 years ag we did half of Route 66 in 2024 and the other half in 2025. And so one of the things that one of my there were 2 favorite donut shops on that tour. One was in Glendora, California, and it was called the Donut Man, and they had a Bismarck donut that was like, it was a huge Bismarck donut that was opened up, and it had like strawberry pie filling, and it was like fresh strawberries with the pie. It was insane. And
Sounds
that's what they're
great.
known for, is their strawberry donut.
Okay. All right.
And then we went to Randy's Donuts, which you'll see, like, it's right by the LAX airport. And I never even realized, but when you're watching certain movies or certain shows, it's this huge chocolate donut on top of this shop. And it's like when you see a movie that it has a plane leaving LAX, you're gonna see
Okay.
that in
I
the
think I've seen that. Yeah.
yeah. So that was fun. And but I love, and like we just in April we did a 6-day tour, and went to different donut shops at every one. And my favorite little donut shop there was outside of Dayton, Ohio, and it was called a Hole in One Donuts, and it was just cute. It was this young guy that is a golfer, and he started working for his neighbor who owned a donut shop when he was like 13 years old, and he just always wanted to have a donut shop. And so anyway, so I went, but they had these cutest shirts, but they didn't have any in stock. So I messaged him on Messenger. I thought I want him to know that, hey, I would buy one of your shirts, because if I go to a donut shop that has a shirt, I always buy a shirt because I'm supporting local, and I love wearing them. I mean, it's kind of a fun little conversation piece to, have a donut shirt on. And so anyway, so he messaged me back, and he was able to order me one, and I just got it last week. So I wore it yesterday, and actually had a guy at a store where I was. He said, "Do you own a donut shop?" And I said, "No, this one's in Dayton, Ohio." But it's a good conversation piece and just kind
It
of
is
fun.
a good. Yeah, I mean, it can bring people together because you never know, someone may be from that area,
Right.
and say, "Hey, I know that donut shop." So that's exciting.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I love how you love donuts, Jonah, and part of the podcast is trying donuts. So you had mentioned the Sugar Shack there in, is Wichita.
Wichita, yes.
So, I had ordered some donuts for you, and you so graciously went and picked them up
Yes.
on today as Donut Day, which I'm sure was very busy. Um,
I almost wore my donut costume. I have a donut costume
I
that
love
I
it.
yes, I almost wore it today. I thought, no, I was on my way to pickleball Tuesday. I thought, no, I'll wait.
Well, when I called them and told them who it was for, they knew you right away, and they said, "Oh, she's so famous here." And I said, "And you sell your book at their shop too, at the Sugar Shack there,
Yes.
and a couple other local places near you." But yeah, they were so excited and they were so kind. I don't know if you looked in there to see what is in there, but if you want to show what's in there,
Sure.
that would be from the Sugar Shack.
So I didn't know what you were to see. So can you
Look at
see?
that. Wow.
I
Oh my gosh, they're huge.
I know they are
Wow.
huge. It's like, wow.
Oh my gosh.
So these
How
are the
exciting.
maple long johns, and this looks like a chocolate sprinkle, a vanilla sprinkle, a fried cinnamon roll. They're maple iced. This looks like a chocolate Bismarck, and then these are so cute. They do mini donuts. Can you see that little mini long
Oh,
john?
that cute. It's like a mini long john.
Yes, they do
Mini
little.
john.
Yeah, a mini. It should be a mini Johnna since I'm Johnna.
Yeah.
All they need is have a girl
They need
donut.
they need to get on there. So you said that your favorite there was the maple ice long john with the white fluffy
Yes,
filling, which is a
it's
delicious filling. It's one of the best fillings. So
yeah.
I hope that you enjoy those for
Oh yeah.
sure.
Oh, for sure. Yeah, it's the best. So when I did my book signing there back when the book came out, that's what they did. They offered they made mini ones so that way guests could try them because they didn't because not everybody
Oh,
likes as sweet as I do. And
yeah.
but yeah, it was so fun. But yeah, it's always so whenever if it's Mother's Day, if it's my birthday, if it's my anniversary, my husband always knows to go get me a white fluff filled maple long john, and they'll even write on it sometimes like happy anniversary or happy birthday. It's so cute.
Oh, well, yeah, they seemed very kind and they seemed very fond of you. So you definitely made an impact with them as well. Donna, is there anything else that you want to share with the community about your book or your note cards or anything?
Well, I mean, if you just like, well, I do have a fun thing. I brought a picture to show you. Okay, so my daughter and I went to New York in 2022, I believe, or 2023, and I love Hoda Kotb. Okay, and I love her reading her books, and so she was there at the Today Show. So I made a sign and I said, "Come see me for a signed copy of my book," and so I was able to give Hoda a copy of my
Oh my
book.
gosh. Oh, that is so cool. What a nice experience.
Yeah, because
Oh,
I
you
told her I
remember
go.
that forever.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
told her, I said, you have such a great book," because her books are like daily, they're just like little daily words to live by as well. I mean, it's like it'll be like a little story, but I just love them. And so I thought, how fun. So I was so hoping that she would be there that day because you never know who's going to be, on the
Okay.
plaza. And when she was there, I go, I got a coffee for you. So that was pretty neat.
That's really cool. What a special moment. Yeah.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
you were actually on a news station as well back
Yes.
in what let's see, 22, I think. Um
Yes.
it was. Yeah, a news
Yeah.
station came to interview at the donut hole.
Right.
That's
Okay.
where they seemed um so it seems like in your town you're pretty famous there.
I don't know the famous, but they know I'm a donut lover. That's for sure.
They know you're a donut lover, yeah. And if you were to Google Johnna Kolar, the interview will pop up. So
Yes.
it's really neat.
And there's another one, and I'll just say it here just because it doesn't show up on the Google, but it's let's say if you go to YouTube and you type in Positively Kansas, episode 1101, I'm the third segment. And in that segment, that was a different TV station here. In that segment, that my friend from Chicago that I said her husband wanted those to have a printed copy of each day while he was in the hospital of the quote. You'll
Okay.
see that you'll see the pictures that she sent to me along with the enlarged quotes that were on his hospital wall. So that's in that episode, which is pretty neat, you know.
That's really neat. Yeah. Thank
Yeah.
you for sharing that. Wonderful. So I'm going to link in this how to get in touch with Johnna. And of course, if you follow her on Facebook or Instagram, you can also reach out to her, message her. That's how you'd also get the note cards. And then again, the book is on Etsy.
Mhm.
And or you can contact her
Yeah.
again through those means.
Right. And I'd be happy to sign them for whoever, if you want them signed, if you know who you're going to give them to, I'll sign for it. And if you don't know who you're going to give it and you just want a signature, I can just do my signature.
Wonderful.
Yeah.
Well, Johnna, it's been such a pleasure. I'm finally glad that we got to meet,
Me too.
even though it's over the computer. But I hope you enjoy your donuts, and I hope your book has even more success than it does. And I
Well,
hope you can, you know, keep reaching out and talking about donuts.
well, and it is, and it's just a happy food, and like I always tell people, it's just a simple little quote. It's just a simple little reminder to, so like, there's one quote that I really like, and when because I have a couple friends that are going through cancer treatment right now, and there's one quote and it says, "Don't lose hope." And when
Mhm.
that comes up, when I turned in it that day, I usually take a picture of it and send it to them because I'm sure, I've not experienced that myself, but I can only imagine. And I think if they can have that encouragement, that just that know that, hey, somebody's out there thinking of me and they're saying, don't lose hope. So I'm not going to lose hope. There's just a lot of good in it.
There is a lot of good in it, and we see that in adults. We see that that it's helping kids even. So
Right.
we thank you so much.
Well, thank you. Yeah. This was so fun. And I love your background. Like I said, I just feel like that's a big donut chair. I just want to go sit in it.
I know we need to like build this or something. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. It's so cute.
All right, John. Well, it was such a pleasure, and hopefully we can have you on again. We'll talk more about donuts in another episode, and enjoy Donut Day.
Okay, and thanks for letting me be your first podcast guest. It was great.
You've been listening to Dr. Donut.